sounds like day 3 of a con right there. Did y'all feel that? Voice is almost gone, you're so tired, like, oh, I'm so happy to be here, but I'm tired. My name is Victor Dangerous, lovingly called the hardest working man in comics. It is my honor to moderate this panel. We're gonna have some fun. Are y'all already having fun? Okay, we're gonna keep that going. We're gonna keep that energy high. I'm super excited to talk to Cameron. This is gonna be great. A couple of house rules. First and foremost, we're gonna offer for you guys to ask some questions. I think there are some microphones somewhere. Right, where are they? They're in the middle? Okay. The lights, I can't see them. Oh, thank you, cameraman. I see the cameraman pointing, but I still can't see the microphones. But we're gonna invite you guys to ask questions. However, here's some of the rules, right? We need y'all to limit it to one question. One. Can we do that? Excellent. Number 2, Cameron is not our dancing monkey. We are not asking for shout outs. We're not asking for quotes. Just do the voice of, not doing that, okay? If you want to have him perform, go downstairs to the booth, give him a little coin for his craft, and that's where you ask for that. Can we all agree to that?
Yeah.
If you don't abide by that, I'm throwing my shoe at you. Yes, excuse me. That's what I'm talking about. Our crew, make some noise for our crew, please. As you guys have entered on this side of the room, we are exclusively exiting on this side of the room, okay? So just make sure that we have that flow going. You will exit this way. I don't care who's over there. You gotta go this way. Can we all agree to that too?
Woo!
All right. Now that I've gotten the bad guy stuff out of the way, first and foremost, how many of you guys, this is your very first Comic-Con? Welcome. Make some noise for the newcomers, absolutely. Are you guys having a great time? Are you coming back next year? Have you gotten a tattoo yet?
No.
Give it time. I think you go to 12 shows, get a free tattoo. That's not true. Don't quote that. Don't do that at all. Don't do that at all. Who's been here all weekend? Excellent. Who just got here today? You need to have the most energy, okay? You have no excuse for being tired, okay? We've put in a lot of sweat equity to make sure that we're having fun. This is your day, okay? Own it. This is yours. Is anyone planning on asking a question? Yes? I want to see some hands. Okay, excellent. One of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to stay away from the Star Wars games, and I'm going to let y'all talk about that the most. I figure with that being the context of this panel, I'm going to give y'all the chance to shout that out. How many of you have played this game, though? Okay! And the sequel? Who hasn't beaten it yet? I respect you. I respect you for coming here because you're like, I haven't. That's my question. How do I get beyond? No, I get that. Sometimes you gotta ask these questions, man. And if there's anyone that should know, it should be Cameron, okay? I agree. No, this is amazing. Any other turns of Cameron's work that you guys are super fans of? Gotham? You got some fans?
Woo!
Some Shameless?
Woo!
So y'all have never heard this. He pulled that one. Malcolm in the Middle? Yes.
Criminal Minds?
Absolutely. That's a really good pull. Music Man, have y'all seen Music Man? Okay. He was in Click, he was the neighbor. Yeah. He was the neighbor in Click. Okay, so I need y'all to do me a favor. We're gonna do a thing, because I don't know if y'all are major fans of Cameron, but there was a thing for him the other day. Shh. I'm speaking in code, sir. We're gonna sing in reverence to that thing that happened the other day. But he doesn't know that. I don't even know if he's backstage. If he hears me, that could be a problem. So hopefully he didn't hear that. He is backstage. Okay. Next time you guys see me, I'll be bringing Cameron up. I will see you guys in just a second. Expo, that's not on, is it?
Nope.
Fan Expo Chicago! I need y'all to make some noise and show all the love to Mr. Cameron Monaghan! Yes, 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 yes! Hello, hello, hello! Absolutely, so glad to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Oh
So
my
good to be in
goodness.
Chicago.
Absolutely, come on y'all, he's talking about you. Yes, yes. How has this weekend been treating you?
It's been lovely. A couple nights ago was my birthday. Hold the applause.
Oh, we have a plan for that.
No, so I flew in kind of late yesterday.
Gotcha.
And yeah, it's just been great. It's always really nice to come back to Chicago.
Love that. Come on, y'all, make some noise for yourselves. So I don't know if you can tell, you've got a room full of fans here that are eager to chat with you, but I get a couple minutes. So I'm going to start this off by saying, when it comes to growing up in a creative space, and you got work very early on, how has that changed your perspective of what being an active professional creative looks like?
That's a really good question. Yeah, you know, I'm very lucky that my job is playing make-believe to a certain extent. And I think that kids naturally have this ability to play and to create and to discover. And I was lucky enough to be able to do that professionally. And, you know, I think that great artists keep that sense of play alive.
Yes, yes.
And the ability to be able to continue to do that and nurture that part of my life is it's a real privilege and one
I love that. I love it.
that
Make some noise for that, y'all. If there are any aspiring creatives in the audience, take heed to that because that's a very important piece. Now, I did some research and it said that your mom felt that you were just super outgoing and that's why like acting seemed to be such an obvious space for you. Was there any particular thing that she's recalled that you did that was like, that's the thing that I said he's gonna be this great star?
You know, I think that outgoing is one way to describe it. Hyperactive might be another. One might say ADD if they were a doctor.
Perspective.
You know, I had a lot of energy as a kid, and she was looking for a place for it to be focused. And I was lucky enough that my school had like an after-school theater program in elementary school, and she also got me involved in like local community theater when I was a kid. So we did like a lot of musical theaters, and I played a lot of venues back then. And I think she just saw that I took to it from a really young age. So thankfully, that's something that I was able to discover from a young age, and I started working quite young. So
Indeed.
I shot my first film when I was 8 years old, which was a musical called The Music Man, and it's a one for The Music Man. So it was very serendipitous in that way, and thankfully all of those seeds that were sown were then able to kind of continue to grow over the last 20-something years.
Dude, that's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Was there a particular role that you took on, particularly on stage, that locked it in for you that this is absolutely what you wanted to do for a living?
I don't know. That's, you know, I don't like remember a lot of those super well because I was so young, but I remember for my theater camp, we did a version of Stuart Little.
Okay.
And I played Stuart Little, the role that I was born to play. So I think some of my finest work, honestly. I remember that there was a version of Winnie the Pooh that we did where I was Piglet. So I remember there was a scene that we all played baseball. I'm not sure why, but it was performed in the round, and so all of the corners were the different mounds of the baseball field. And I do remember running and like diving and being silly and stuff back then, and that's something that's kind of stuck around.
Absolutely. No, I love that. Now, a bit of your career has some geeky intent behind it. Would you qualify yourself as a geeky fan? Are you deep into geekdoms?
I would say that I was a pretty nerdy kid,
Okay.
and I particularly really liked certain comics. So I was a big fan of X-Men. That was big for me.
Who's your favorite X-Men? This is very important. This is a personality test right here.
Probably either Nightcrawler or Gambit.
Let's go. Best friends now. Those are solid choices.
You know, I think because of the cartoon, those were very featured in the cartoon series when I was growing up. I loved X-Men. I loved Batman, Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it was really what it was a lot of those shows had really great animated shows at the time. So you know, Saturday mornings getting to watch those cartoons were big and introduced me to the comics. And you know, I continue to be a fan of those things, and I've been lucky enough that properties like Batman or Star Wars, I've been able to be involved in, and so now the most recent one is Tron, which is something that I was a fan of as a kid.
Really cool. Now, understandably, for those of you that don't know this, Disney is known for having snipers, and so we're not going to ask for any spoiler things about Tron Ares, but I want to go backwards and ask, of the two previous movies, did you have a favorite of those, from Tron or Legacy, that you really enjoyed?
Yeah, I mean, I was a really big fan of Tron Legacy. Weirdly, I went to the premiere of that when I was 15 years old. So I had just shot a movie for Disney at that time, and they allowed us to go to the premiere as a cast. So I remember going to that theater and watching it, and the opening music from Daft Punk was playing, and that movie is such a visual and audio spectacle, as obviously the first one was too. It was incredibly influential for computer design. But yeah, I think that I have a soft spot for the second, and I really do think that in the way that the second built on the first, this one is going to be really impressive from a technical perspective as well. So, yeah.
You talked about serendipity before. For you to go to that premiere and then you get to be in this next one, that's a glorious turn of events right there. I love that. Since we're going back to the comic book side of things, and you mentioned Batman, you have done this wonderful role on Gotham of the Crown Prince of Crime. Make some noise for that. For the Joker, such an iconic villain. Was there any trepidation about what you were going to bring to that role, considering the number of folks that have already played it before you?
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge honor. It was also a lot of pressure. I was, for the first time I appeared on that show, I was 18 years old. And at that time, nobody had touched the character since Heath. And that was a serious honor, but it was something that I could feel the gravity of at that time. And I was lucky enough to be able to continue to play that character for 5 years. And being able to experience the reaction and the excitement for that was a very special thing. It's very rare that for your job you're able to directly experience the impact of something over the course of time.
Right.
So that was a real honor, and yeah, a chapter of my life that I'm deeply thankful for.
No, I think we're deeply thankful for it. Absolutely. When it came to presenting between Jerome and Jeremiah, what sort of things did you want to create as a nuance to keep them separate? And which one was most fun to actually build?
Yeah, I mean, they were kind of two sides of a coin, but I think that philosophically they just approached the situations differently. There was kind of the mania and the joy of Jerome, and then there was the more analytical side of Jeremiah. It's something with a personality with a person. You get to know them over time, and you start to understand them, and they become like a person that you know, and they become fully rounded and encapsulated and three-dimensional, and that's something that it's very hard to define in any sort of short way, but you know, I really did think of them as different people. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to say, but I also wouldn't be able to pick my children.
That's
you
fair.
know?
That's fair.
I love them both equally. They're very beautiful boys.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so if you can't pick a favorite, would you be able to say which one is most like who you are today?
Oh God, I hope I'm not like you.
Just checking. That was a test. And you passed. Good job. No.
Your Honor.
Yeah, he's listening. He's listening. I am going to invite you guys to line up to get ready to ask your questions, but I'm going to ask one more. For the show Shameless, yeah, make some noise. There is an aspect of representation that you got to bring about for others to see, nuance and deepness. When it came to what that impact would be for others that you would necessarily be modeling for, was that a piece of the responsibility factor that you understood when you took on that role, or was that a happy accident of your performance?
Yeah, I mean, that was something that I feel like I understood the implication of somewhat, but you know, again, like that was an honor over the course of 11 years to be able to really experience and understand the impact of that role. I had a lot of people, especially young people, who would say, you know, I always knew this about myself, but I was afraid to come out to my friends or my family or, you know, to the world at large, and seeing this role was able to give me some sort of reflection or some sort of confidence to be able to embrace that part of myself. And that is always meaningful to hear, and something that I'm still very thankful to hear even now.
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, that is a really beautiful thing.
You are truly a superhero to a lot of people for that, and I thank you for it tremendously. So we're gonna bounce back and forth to let you guys ask some questions. We'll start on this side and we'll move back over here. Hello, friend, how we doing?
You were partnered up with probably like the third best mole the Joker ever had, besides Harley Quinn and Punchline, with Echo. And each one of these relationships are different, but like it was Echo, it's like you drained everything out of Echo to make her just a prop for you. What were the mannerisms that like you actually brought to that relationship on screen? How did you like, you know, present yourself as she's like becoming more and more a reflection, not of you, but of your desires?
Well, Francesca, who was the performer who played that role, was really brilliant and brought a lot of her own thoughts and performances to the role. You know, that was a character that I didn't really know what they were going to do with her, and a lot of her scenes were shot on days that I wasn't there. And so I had no idea what she was kind of bringing in, and then when I finally got to have a scene with her, she was just fantastic and brought so much energy. And I think it opened up a new sense to the Jeremiah role and kind of brought like a interesting vulnerability and openness otherwise that character wouldn't have. It was a nice access point. You know, so I think that the two of them together was a really fun bit of chemistry and something that you know, I was lucky enough to have a super talented performer acting against.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Make some noise for that, y'all. That was a great question. Hello.
Hi. I was wondering, as an actor, obviously you put a lot of parts of yourself into the characters you play, especially when you play them for such a long time, like Ian on Shameless. So I was wondering if it's ever been hard for you to separate your own self-identity from the identity of the characters that you've been playing for so long.
This just got existential. Let's go.
Well, I think that similarly to what I was saying of when you are understanding a character, you get to know them as a person, and it's a person in your life, and you have to kind of meet them and have conversations with them and question them. So you start to explore aspects of who that person is, and then you become more and more familiar with them over time. And in a way, they kind of become like a friend in your life and a person that you get to know. And so in that sense, I think that your friends in your own life influence you, that you understand them, you understand their way of thinking, but then you have to sometimes say goodbye to them. So I've had to say goodbye to a lot of these characters that I've gotten to know over the years. I hope that by playing a lot of different characters that I have a sense of perspective or empathy for different ways of life or different modes of thought. But I wouldn't say that personally, I don't really see myself as any of these people. Even when I watch them, I don't really necessarily see myself. So I don't know if there's necessarily a need for a separation from myself so much as it is, just giving them a goodbye, giving them a send-off with each time that you finish up a job like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, so I was just wondering if there's any Star Wars character in the universe that you'd ever like to see Cal be on like screen or in a video game with.
Mace Windu.
You just got the whole room hype. Hold on. We have to reset. That was a great answer. You had that locked in.
Oh, come on. Who wouldn't want to work with Samuel L. Jackson?
Thanks. That's real. Hello.
Hi, my question is about Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor. I'm curious what your favorite or most fun mocap scene was.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. When we make those games take a very long time to make, so it is genuinely years of my life. And so you're going into work every day from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. or however long. And you kind of see it in a different way from my perspective of like, we're going in and we're going to do our job. And that job is very rewarding and also sometimes kind of challenging. I don't necessarily see them as like these like separate scenes of like, oh, this thing was like really like fun, or so much as I tend to see it as a whole. That being said, I really loved, we had like a wonderful stunt coordinator named Darren Ross, and we had a lot of very, very, very talented stunt performers, and always getting the opportunity to be able to do the fight scenes and explore the duels was a lot of fun. We had some of the best martial artists in the world, and getting to learn what they do so well was always amazing. So I would say any of the fights were always a blast to be able to do.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
That's awesome. Hello.
Hi, I know one of your more popular roles was Cal Kestis. Do you actually play the Fallen Order games in your own time? And if you do, how weird is it playing with yourself in a video game?
Freezing.
You're welcome.
We play them as we're making them. So we play them in a lot of different versions as it's getting built. So we have a very large team of people. First, we have the side who are working on narrative, who are crafting all the stuff that we do on the performance capture stage. So that's a team of about 100 or so people that are working just in that stage. But then with Respawn and EA, there are hundreds of more people who are continuing to work on the game. And those people are working on a lot of things, from the combat design to the textures of the different clothes and the building the world around them, environments, movement, everything that you could possibly think of, music. And all of those components are coming in bit by bit. And one of the most amazing things about being able to work with a talented group of people who are putting in a lot of amazing work is you get to see it built inch by inch, and eventually that becomes something monumental, something huge. But that doesn't happen overnight that happens from the contribution of so many incredible people. And being able to continue to play it and see it built is amazing. And then once it comes out and it is released to the world, it's for everybody else. But that's the time that I really play the game is during the creation of it.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi. What is your favorite Star Wars lightsaber fight scene, live action or animated?
Wow, that's a good choice. Yeah, that's a good question. There's so many to choose from. I don't know. Let's see. I mean, look. I know it's cliche, but it is probably still my favorite. Is the original Obi-Wan Darth Vader fight. Just because of what it represents. It's the first time that we were really exposed to that. And it has a emotional component to it that I think is really incredible. And all of the best fights, in my opinion, are ones that are a philosophical or emotional battle as well. So that would be my favorite.
Awesome.
Wait, before you leave, do you have a favorite one?
Do I have to say anything?
I just wonder which one.
Actually, you know what? No, never mind. Revenge of the Sith, Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Okay, all right. Hello.
Hey, how's it going? Something that they added in Jedi Survivor that they didn't really have in Fallen Order was a lot more character customization. And I'm wondering if there's a particular outfit combination, hair, the whole thing, that you particularly liked. And if not, what's something you'd like added in Jedi 3?
Should we all say it on 1, 2, 3? 1, 2, 3. Poncho!
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. So you talk about doing a lot of like the mocap and for Cal Kestis. How much of Cal's mannerisms do you think are yours versus a character choice for Cal?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's really hard to separate yourself in that way. Obviously, we are all limited by our own musculature and mannerisms to a certain degree, and just the way that what our voices are. It's an instrument that is then being utilized, and that can be tuned in different ways. But at some core piece, it has to be you. At least there has to be truth in it, if that makes any sense. But I don't know. There was a lot of work that went into specifically movement was a big thing. So it was how he holds himself, how he enters into situations, how he senses the world around him. Tom Keegan, who was the performance director of the first Fallen Order, and then he came back for Survivor as well. But specifically for Fallen Order, we did a lot of work where we wanted Cal is a very intuitive character. He's very emotionally kind of in tune with the world around him, and he even has the ability to touch an object and kind of experience the emotional history of that object. And so what does that look like for a character who, when he enters into a situation, he feels these things, and what does that do? So we had a lot of talk about that specifically, and we did a lot of work with movement. I don't know. I don't know if I could say specifically like a percentage of what I am compared to Cal, but I think it's a really good question. So I hope in some way I answered it.
You did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Hello.
Hi, how's it going? So, how did it feel to join the Star Wars universe as Cal Kestis, and would you ever like to play the character in live action?
I mean, it feels good. I'm very thankful for it. It really is an honor. And that is a question that I receive a lot, and I think that my answer is always, if it was done right, if it was meaningful to the character and we were continuing to do something new and explore something interesting with him, that was moving the story forward in some way, then yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello. If there's anybody that you wanted Cal to have a duel with that he hasn't already, who would it be?
Have a duel with?
Yeah. Like to the death, or like maybe just like a sparring? Like he doesn't have to kill him. That could open up a lot of opportunities.
Like very important, like end of the game, life or death. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Life or death?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like even if I did, I would maybe want to save it for people to experience and be surprised.
There we
by.
go. Yeah, good
So I'm gonna have to just leave that on a little
artfully
bit of
dodge
sizzle.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. This is not the character you're looking for.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
All right. So, other than your canon lightsaber, which is blue, what is your like all-time favorite lightsaber color?
I'm bringing it back to Mace Windu. I like a little bit of purple.
I'm a little bit more of a gold/yellow lightsaber person.
Hey, that's good too. But I think that Rey kind of has the, she's cornered the market on that at the moment. But I love my blue. I really do like my canon blue as well. So.
Thank you. Yep. Hello.
Hi. You've done a lot of roles. Which role was the hardest to get into? Like, as a role, not like with cast or anything like that. Like, as a role, like, which one was the hardest to like actually get yourself into? Yeah, in the mindset of.
I mean, I don't know about the hardest, because I don't think that expression or exploration should be hard per se. I don't think that work is very fruitful when it's coming from a place of frustration. I think that it needs to come from a joy, and frankly, it's a gift. It's an opportunity. Each new role is a brilliant opportunity to be able to do something that you haven't been able to do before, and the challenge should be welcome. I do think that every role has been challenging up to this point, and a lot of those roles, some of the best roles are written for the stage and for theater, and that's something that I'm continuing trying to explore as well. I have a performance coming up for theater that has been very challenging because he's a dad, a mourning dad who has lost his child, and that's been a new concept to try to explore, and a deeply difficult one. But yeah, I really do think that it shouldn't be hard as much as it should be gratifying. And I do feel deeply gratified by my work, so I'm very thankful that I get to do it. So thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Hello.
Hi, I just want to say I love you so much.
Oh, thank you.
And I really wanted to ask how you, as playing Ian Gallagher, was you able to look at Mickey with so much love that we felt it and believed it?
Oh, well, that's very nice. I'm glad that you believed it. Yeah, I mean, with any, it always takes two to tango, and you need to work with talented performers who bring themselves into their roles. We don't exist in vacuums as performers, and thankfully Noel is an incredibly talented performer. And yeah, we would work together and collaborate together to find ways of exploring this relationship and keep trying to bring something new to it. The excitement, the strangeness, the challenges of it. I think that ultimately, I wouldn't be able to say how that's done. That's not trying to mystify my job. It's just I think there are certain things that are a mystery to even us as we're performing it. So yeah, I don't know, but I really appreciate that you like it, so thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi. I know you said both of the twins are kind of on the same level when it comes to the amount of fun that you put into those roles, but I was just wondering, since they're both kind of two sides of the same coin, which one was more challenging to play?
You like the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, you know, there were really interesting bits of that, you know, there were a couple episodes of the show where they were alive at the same time, and getting to play two roles simultaneously is weird and great, you know, that it means that there's just a lot of conversations of making sure that there's a game plan so that when it's being shot, you know exactly how it's being shot so that you can then perform both sides at the same time. And, you know, generally as a performer, I try to be a little bit volatile or not necessarily work from a mechanical place, but to allow invention to exist in that moment. But for scenes like that, you can't necessarily, because they're going to be reacting directly off of each other. So that was an interesting challenge for sure, to be able to play them at the same time, but it was a very cool one. So yeah, I guess that was a quirk of those roles.
Well said.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
So first I want to say you did a great job in Gotham with differentiating the Jerome and Jeremiah.
Absolutely.
And still to this day, I don't know how it's played by the same person, but I really do not see, there's such a big difference between them being twins. But basically my question was, what do you think in you playing the character, what do you think set Jeremiah off to go kind of crazy? Because before he was crazy, but not necessarily to Jerome's level. So after Jerome died.
Well, I don't know if he thinks he's crazy.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I don't think that when I play those roles, that's not how I was able to permit myself to think of those characters. And because of that reason, I still don't really, they have their reasons for doing the things that they do. And you need to understand what those reasons are, because that's the heart of it at the end of the day, is, you know, people operate by their own logic and their own rules. And they had their things that they truly believed in. You know, so it was always coming from that place. I think that if a performance is trying to get to the end goal, so by saying, oh, this character is crazy, so then I operate from that way, it becomes very general and kind of aimless very quickly. So yeah, I don't know, it would be difficult for me to answer that, but again, I really appreciate that you like it, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
I was wondering, of all of the characters you've played, what one you feel the most alike or related to?
Probably Piglet.
No.
Yeah, just really.
We love you more now. Thank you for
yeah,
that. That was good.
I live in the 1,000-acre woods. Is it 100-acre?
100.
I live in the 1,000-acre woods.
What's the difference?
It's yeah. I honestly, I don't know, because I genuinely, when I watch something that I performed in, which I don't really like to, but when I am forced to do it, I tend not to really see myself. I tend to see the work from that period of time and see the person that I got to know. So it's really hard to say what I'm alike. I don't know, and generally I don't even really remember working in on those sets. You kind of go into a bit of a fugue state. It's like a sort of self-hypnotism. So yeah, I have no idea, but probably Piglet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are within the last 10 minutes, so I'm going to cap the lines. We'll be able to finish up, I believe, the folks that are in line right now. Hello.
Hi, Cameron. Can you please tell us about your reaction to first seeing what would be the final designs for your companion in the Jedi games BD1?
So, BD was actually designed before I even came onto the project, and BD is close to everyone who developed the game's parts. BD was kind of a tribute by Aaron Contreras, one of our lead writers, to his bulldog, who unfortunately has since passed and now is continued to be kind of a symbol honoring that dog, but also all dogs and all pets. It's sort of, he's kind of representative of not only companionship, but also the vulnerability and the innocence that exists within Cal himself. He is a point of access for him as a character, and you know, for a video game, so much of your time as a character is spent by yourself running, and having a character to then be able to bounce off of and talk to, it gives a lot of insight and vulnerability into the Cal character himself. But yeah, BD's design was already finished by the time that I came onto Fallen Order, and you know, he was kind of affectionately a mixture of bird and dog-like qualities. So for a time, he was called Bird Dog 1. And he is still my favorite droid in the Star Wars universe, and will always be. So
thank you.
Hello.
My question is, when you played such a complex character like Ian on Shameless, did it come with challenges you didn't expect or didn't foresee to become challenges?
Sure. Yes. I mean, really, what's interesting about playing a character for 11 years is you see their evolution over a long period of time, and you also see so many specific instances of things that have happened to them over the course of that time. And so they have a pretty rich history of kind of strange things that have happened to them. And the way that TV shows work is you have a writer's room. You have a team of about a dozen writers who are all working in conjunction with each other. And that writer's room will continue to shift and change naturally over time as writers will come in and out of the show. And something that was always interesting was when you had new writers come in, while they might have watched the show, they didn't write it all, so they might not necessarily know every idiosyncrasy of all the little events that have happened to that character over time. And every once in a while, you would experience something, you would read something in a script and you would go, wait, that doesn't quite make sense because we know for a fact that this thing has already happened, or he's already learned this, or he's already gone through this. So there were some times when, you know, me or any of the actors in the show would need to have a conversation, and we would always have a table read every week, which is basically the entire cast and crew sits and the cast reads the lines. And then after the table read, sometimes a cast member would wait to just give a note to the writers and make sure that everything made sense from a logical and character perspective. So it's not so much as of a challenge as it is you need to have a knowledge and authorship over a character that you play in the long term. And thankfully we had a very talented group of writers who were always very willing and very, very interested in making sure that our characters were consistent and developed over the course of the show. So yeah, does that answer?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Hello.
Hi, my question has a two-part to it. The first part is, Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor being the great games they are, probably my favorites of all time. So thank you for doing that. And how was it to join the Star Wars universe and be accepted like that? I think it was pretty well received as a media. And then the second question is, will there be a poncho in the third game?
Spoilers, bro. Disney has shooters. We can't talk about that.
We need the poncho.
Campaign, but he cannot answer. Yes.
Running a campaign, and my platform is ponchos.
There it is.
Ponchos for President 2028. I mean, first of all, it genuinely is an honor. Star Wars is something that has over, 50 years of history at this point?
There.
Almost 50 years. And to be able to, in some way, contribute to that story in the world overall is incredible. It was always important for us to be able to explore something new and try to contribute a different perspective to whatever that story was. I'm thankful that we have had the opportunity to be able to do that, and to be able to contribute ponchos is definitely one of those things. I will tell them that you have demanded ponchos, and
Thank you,
we'll
thank
have
you.
a conversation in the future.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hi there. So, when you mentioned your background in theater, you've worked in TV and now video games, is there something that you've come to appreciate about those different backgrounds creatively and what they let you do? Or just kind of grimaces when it comes to certain things in production, like doing a piecemeal with video games as opposed to seeing the end product with film or TV?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that film, television, video games, all of those are kind of one side, and then theater or something immersive is on the other side. In the sense that you have an immediate audience, you have people like this who are giving you a response and an energy, and you feel the energy of a stage with a group of people. And it's a very, very, very special experience, and one that I hold very dear to my heart. I think that everyone here, please support live performance.
Well, no.
I really do think if you guys have not had the opportunity to see great drama live in front of you, go support local theater around you. I promise you, it is really fulfilling and very special in a different way. That being said, one of the cool things about working in film, for example, is there's a intimacy of working with a small or large group of people, but a group of people who are all working together for a common goal, and that relationship is for what is being ultimately seen. So it's being created for a camera. And then once it's out in the world, that response, while I appreciate that people like it, is separate and doesn't ultimately matter because you can't think about how people are going to respond to something when you're creating it. You have to think about what is right for that moment or what makes the most sense. So that's really unique in its own way. And I'm very thankful that I've had the opportunity to be able to explore all sorts of different mediums, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to explore in new ways. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Our last question. Hello.
Hi. One, you and the Jedi cast are absolutely spectacular.
That's
and I really
right.
love the games. With Cal, we see a lot of growth in him just in the first game, but as he came back for the second game, I felt like it was a much darker middle chapter. How did you approach that, Cameron? And really excited for Game 3.
Thank you. So I didn't create this by myself.
Of course.
This is very much a community of talented, hardworking people, and that starts with the writers and the heads of the departments of the creation of the game. We were very, very lucky for Fallen Order and Survivor that we had really, really, really talented writers, and So we had a lot of conversations between the first and the second of what we would like to see done with this character and the story, and where it takes place in the galaxy, where what is happening in basically the rise of the fascistic empire means that it's by nature going to be a darker story. There's not a lot of moments of reprieve for Cal. But what was always important for us was not just making something edgy or dark or mature for the sake of that, but instead that is the nature of that situation, and still finding a perspective and a voice and a heart within that. That's something that's really important for this character, I think, is he is ultimately a person who is trying to do the right thing in a situation where there's not necessarily any right answers. So yeah, that's something that we have explored with the character, and I would love to continue to explore in the future. So
love it.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Cameron,
you.
you are truly one of the most gifted, grounded, and enlightened actors of a generation. And thank you so very much for sharing your talents with us and your birthday weekend. Fan Expo Chicago, join me in saying happy birthday to Cameron one time. Make some noise. Absolutely. Guys, thank you so very much for joining us. Cameron, thank you for joining us. It's been a delight. Thank you. Guys, remember, we're leaving. We're exiting on the left side here. We'll see you guys.